what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are still here at the 2024 Chicago Auto Show, and of course, we had to continue at the Ford booth because they have brought a fleet of vehicles, and this is one that I know you want to see more of. This is your all-new, redesigned 2024 Ford Ranger, but this is the mighty Ranger Raptor. But before we get into this mid-size, full-on off-road performance truck, let's talk about what's going on here. So the mid-size truck segment is ablaze with the redesigned Tacoma, the Canyon, and the Colorado. What's interesting though, we have not had a Ranger Raptor here in the United States yet. Other parts of the world, they have had a Ranger Raptor, but this, on the new generation, we now have a Raptor with full performance. Lots to choose from, like I said, in this segment, but is this Ranger Raptor gonna be worth the price at the end of the day? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this Velocity Blue Ranger Raptor and find out. Right off the bat, the design. It's interesting because when we got the Ford Ranger back, which remember, it had been a while, it had been since like 2002 that we had a Ford Ranger back when it was a compact truck. Even though it was new here in the United States, it was kind of old already because it was available in multiple areas of the world, including Australia. This is all new. So you're gonna have, of course, this headlight design. Love the C-shape integration, double stuff, double stack, like a double stuffed Oreo cookie, LED headlights, LED daytime running lamps that loop all the way around. And you'll notice how you have this large intersecting area, especially on the Raptor. Now, as we drop down, no off-road truck isn't complete unless you have some fog lamps, of course, LED spec. You'll see how much wider. Look at that extra width that not only the fender is, but on top of that, the fender flare. That's what gives it that super aggressive look. And then when it comes to bumpers, we have full metal bumper up front. That's gonna give us that protection while you're off-roading. And then down below, you'll notice all the ground clearance, and we have full skid plate protection to protect all those inner bits along the bottom of the vehicle, going all the way back to the fuel tank. One of the things that when it comes to off-roading, sometimes you get stuck, sometimes maybe another truck gets stuck. We do have recovery tow hooks on both sides. You could pull those lesser mid-size off-road trucks out of the mud, out of the rocks and debris. Full functionality on the lower portion with active shutters, because like I said, we have that V6 twin turbocharged engine underneath the hood. Love the way that Ford, instead of putting a blue oval, they spell out the Ford name within the grille. That is unique to the big Raptor and the baby Raptor here. And of course, we have a forward-facing camera with a washer, which not all the brands have washers on the forward-facing camera, which is crazy to me because if you get mud on it, it makes it unusable unless you could clean it off. Now, as we rise up, you'll notice how we have that big, bold hood with the extractors on the back portion. Love the way it's in that nice sort of like flat black, flat silverish gray finish. Underneath the hood, we're looking at 405 horsepower from that 3-liter twin turbo V6. And that is really gonna be a big separator, especially when you look at the competition. Now, as we work our way down, this one has the real deal off-road spec wheels and tires. Those are bead-lock wheels, brand new design. You'll notice the gunmetal gray finish around the outer edge, the flat black on the center. I love this V-spoke design. And then we have 33-inch BF Goodrich off-road tires. These are the KO3 tires that they use in Baja racing. And then I love all of that shielding protection all the way around. 17-inch wheel, and these tires, 285 on the width, 70 series sidewall. And you'll notice, remember how I said Baja? It says it right here on the freaking tire, Baja Champion. Because you look at the people, the brands that win the Baja 500, the Baja 1000, they run these BF Goodrich tires. And what's great is that this stuff has been tested by Ford. And I got a little bit of a surprise I'm gonna show you a little bit later in this video. So don't disappear yet because we do have surprises. Now, you're gonna get, of course, that Fox racing suspension technology with your nice strong upper control arms, beefy suspension to give us plenty of wheel travel. And then you got almost 11 inches of ground clearance. So think about these things. It would be nice though, I think, to have a 35-inch tire. Let me know how you feel about that instead of 33-inch tires. But as we rise up, Lori's gonna swing around and show you that flared fender with the functionality of our fender vents that match the heat extractors on the hood. Same design, same functionality. 360-degree cameras, nicely placed throughout the vehicle. Color match on the mirror caps. You have Ford Ranger Raptor specific running boards. And what I like about them is that they're nice and wide. I have a 12-inch I have a 12-inch foot. I have a 12-inch shoe that I put my foot in, and that shows you just how wide of a step that is. Of course, you know, they say big feet means big shoes. That's the way it goes. From the side, you have that new design, and I'm really digging it. One of the things I'm not digging, though, is that RC antenna up top. I don't know why they're doing that. I'm gonna have to zonk that. But what makes up for it is the great graphics. And this is something with the Raptor, I feel like it's right on the cusp of being too over the top, but they do such a great job with the optional graphics that I feel like if you go with this blue, you gotta go with these graphics, especially with the flared fenders. And then Lori's gonna come in and show you, of course, our suspension bits with that Fox Racing suspension. You could see the box frame, the steel box frame on the back portion here. And then as we whip it around the back, this is where everything comes together. Just like up front with those special all new headlights, look at the way we're working our taillights, full LED, the Raptor name. A little bit of the graphics spill onto the bed, and look at how they did a cohesive design and made a blacked out Ford oval instead of the traditional blue oval. Working our way down, this is where it gets really good. So you're gonna have, of course, your metal bumpers on the rear. We have our active performance exhaust. Make it louder, piss everybody off. Make it quieter if you want to keep the peace. You got your full towing capability with this Ranger Raptor, so you're not giving up any of that towing. And then of course we have ginormous, look at these tow hooks down here, absolutely ginormous to pull those lesser trucks out. And you'll also notice how your spare is tucked underneath, and you'll see all those suspension bits under there, very, very nicely placed. And then we have, of course, the tailgate. It's a thing that, how can you forget that if you're doing a truck, you have to open the tailgate? And that's what we do. Look at this, nice soft release, full bed liner in it. And what's great is look, we have all of our plug-in capability, power source capability, tie it downs, LED lighting, nice open area in the back of this Ranger Raptor. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interior of this new Ranger and see what's different. All right, guys, we are inside this Ranger Raptor, all new for 2024. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm thinking about TRD Off-Road Pros. I'm thinking even a Pro 4X Frontier or a Colorado ZR2. I'm digging that this thing has 405 horsepower and a twin turbo V6, but how much is it? MSRP starting on this is $53,000, and obviously it works its way up depending on how you spec it. But let's see what Ford is bringing, not only for the Ranger Raptor, but for the Ranger, for its all-new redesign for model year 2024 to the door panels. I love the clean style. You actually have soft touch material up top. It's sort of like a neoprene wetsuit material. No gloss black, even around the switchgear. I would like some orange Ford Performance stitching on that middle armrest there. But the great news is you do have a decent sized door pocket. Easily get, I would say, one Big Mac, a large fry, and a large Coke, maybe even a small chicken nugget box in there. Now going from the door panel to the dash, they brought the orange on the AC vents, and they did a cool job on the design, but where's my orange stitching here? I would like stitching. What's nice is, though, you have two areas for Twinkies. A baker's dozen of Twinkies here, and then you could keep the off-road Twinkies in this lower tray. And if you're wondering what's the difference between a regular Twinkie and an off-road Twinkie, they're filled with chocolate fudge. Now, as you come in, you have your all-new infotainment system and your 12-speaker B&O sound system on this Ranger Raptor. Portrait style, not my favorite, but the great news is it's cleanly integrated over 12 inches with the AC vents flanking. Of course, it's full touchscreen capability. You have all of your different cameras, which unfortunately we can't access because we're on the show floor. and you have your AC controls, heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seats, which are great, so they got you covered there. And then you're gonna have your climate controls, which are real buttons and knobs. Little tiny storage area for some Jolly Ranchers, wireless charging, USB-C, USB-A. You have an electric shifter with the leather and the orange stitching, 2 cup holders, drive mode selector knob, and you have your other off-road modes, easily all push button accessibility. I do like the way they did that. Soft touch, I mean Charmin soft on this armrest. Lift it up, you got enough room in there, probably for the Hope diamond. You know that diamond that they threw overboard in Titanic? You could keep that in there. And then the seats, the stitching, the way the Raptor name. And what I'm noticing is not only do they have nice bolstering, but they're actually very comfortable. Electric assist for the passenger, electric assist for the driver. I'm ready to rock and roll, but why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind the new wheel in this new Ranger Raptor. All right, guys, here we are at the Chicago Auto Show, business time, behind the wheel of this Ranger Raptor. What's nice is that even though this is a performance off-road truck, you have 3 memory seat settings, and I love the way you have that aluminum sill plate with the Ford Performance badge. And then, of course, you're going to have all of your switch gear, easy to get to. Love all the quality stitching. I'm 6 feet tall, and for a mid-sized truck, this cabin area feels phenomenal. Steering wheel, even better. The 2 different types of leather, the orange contrast stitching, magnesium paddles behind the wheel to go up and down that 10-speed automatic. It is a manual and tilting telescoping wheel, all manual controls, but you have that nice large digital display, which when you go through your modes, will be able to show everything that is possible there. But it's not just about the front seat. Let's get in the rear seat, and then like I said, I have a special touch that I want to show you, two special vehicles that I will show you in this, so let's get to it. All right guys, backseat time, and that's the great news about this Ranger Raptor is that you get to share the experience with friends and really show them what on-throttle Ford performance is all about. Now the backs of the seats, the leather style material is great. Nice large pockets. You could keep a couple maps of you know, where they run the Hammer test track. It's over 134 miles of doing all of that off-roading. You're gonna need some maps in case you get lost, and a compass. The back area, you do have a nice large Twinkie slot for 5 Twinkies, USB-C, USB-A, and a home power source. And then you're gonna get the same nice, comfortable material in here, just like up front. You do have your armrest, super soft material, and you're getting the orange stitching, which is really nice. But I wanna show you something special and show you how Ford takes what they race into their production vehicles. Let me show you. All right, guys, part of the surprise that I want to show you is actually 2 separate vehicles that are here at the Chicago Auto Show, and one of these is really, after I saw it in pictures, I was blown away. Now when I see it in person, I'm like, whoa, what is it? It's this Ford F-150 Lightning that's being called the switchgear. Now what's interesting is that this was a truck that was put together between Ford and RTR. Remember, RTR is that performance shop from Von Gittin Jr.'s crew. And what they are doing is that they are taking the future of Ford performance. When we look at the F-150 Lightning and we look at what electric motors and the battery and all that, to put it through the tests by doing this off-road and doing the real deal work, this is what trickles into the trucks and other vehicles that Ford produces. So it's not just about, hey, race on Sunday, sell on Monday. It's also about racing on Sunday, but taking the technology that they develop for demonstrators like this switchgear and bringing that into what they sell at dealerships around the world. Now, what you're gonna find is, of course, all of the wonderful mud, dirt, and dust, because this was put through the paces. You got your dual electric motors producing over 500 horsepower and over 700 pound-feet of torque. And then you'll also notice how we have those massive 37-inch tires. And then you'll notice that RTR badge there. Like I said, this was something that was developed with RTR. Von Gittin Jr. has had so much experience with a multitude of Ford products, but nice to see electrification showing the capability of what can happen. And remember, when you look at electrification, one of the things that you don't have to worry about is elevation, because you go higher up elevation-wise. If you have an internal combustion engine, depending if it's naturally aspirated or not, you're gonna lose that power as you go higher up in altitude. With this, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're at sea level or you're going up in the elevation, it's still gonna produce all of that ultimate power. And what's great about this truck as well, they've used a lot of carbon composite into the body to help with not only rigidity, but also with weight. But remember, it's not just about the trucks. What's another vehicle that's still making a ton of excitement in the industry? Of course, is the Ford Bronco. And what Ford decided to do is not only bring the switchgear, but also the Bronco that won its class at the Trail of Hammers. And you'll notice on the screen here, this is pretty cool. You could actually see the Bronco going through its paces at the Trail of Hammers. You're looking at a little over 134 miles of an off-road course. And what's great about this Bronco, and we'll see at the front here, is that this actually rolled off the assembly line, the frame and everything, and then they did all of the safety requirements, the cage, the fuel cell. Those are things that are required to race and be safe. But other than that, besides some suspension changes and stuff, this is a Bronco right from Detroit, Michigan. You can see the trophy that they won from the Trail of Hammers. Like I said, over 130 miles of off-road terrain. And you know what? Ford's gonna display it exactly how it finished the race. So over the tough conditions, when you think about what the suspension is doing, you could see from the upper control arm, the springs, the shocks, everything, all of that suspension taking a beating every second of the Trail of Hammers. Things can happen. And sometimes a door might take the beating and you wind up shedding the door. So what they did was they literally brought the door from the desert and have it here at the Chicago Auto Show, just to show what type of commitment it takes, not only to what's underneath the hood, not only the suspension, but the body itself. You can see the race seats in there. If you notice, you see the shifter? That is a stock Ford Bronco shifter there. So the same shifter you have in your vehicle, that is a stock Ford piece. Even the dash, like you look at the top part of the dash, that is showing that connection to what Ford sells. And this being a two-door, remember Lori, who's working the camera like a champ, of course, as always, has that Bronco Wild Track. She absolutely loves it. And this is something, like I said, where they take that and go and put their money where their mouth is. But nice to see all of the setups, your fire extinguisher, all of that safety gear, but like I said, on a stock Ford Bronco chassis. But let's go ahead. We looked at how Ford takes racing, tests their vehicles out. Let's get back and wrap it up with that Ford Ranger Raptor, because guess what? They did the same thing with that truck before it shows up at your dealership. All right, guys, we got to thank everybody at Ford for allowing us special access here at the Chicago Auto Show. Not only great to see the all-new upcoming Ranger Raptor again, but also to be able to show you how what they work on and race brings that technology to what we get to drive each and every day. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, then you'll be part of the Raiti's Rides family. Got to give it up to Lori Gibbons Raiti, man. She doesn't give up no matter how much her body hurts. Thank you, Lori, for putting in the work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.